My grandmother tried to drown me as a baby. I now understand why. I'm currently writing this from under a bridge. It's a couple of hours until dawn, and the streets are dead silent. I'm fairly sure I'd hear the sirens when they come for me. I'm hoping that means I have time. I am under no false illusions. I know barely any of you will believe me, and I don't blame you. I'm a scientist, a pragmatist. I've always believed in hard evidence, in the tangible and irrefutable. Ghost stories were for children, and superstitions merely. These same stories persisted into adulthood. So I can imagine what it's like to be you, possibly curled up in a bed somewhere in the dark, scrolling through a strange story, written by some distant stranger you have no cause to believe. I've been on your side many a time, but if there's a chance, just a chance, that one of you may have experienced something similar, or have minds malleable enough to accept what I previously thought impossible, then I feel it's important I share my story. For context, I have go as far back as my grandmother, Sylvia. I don't remember much about her. Most of what I know comes from old photographs and whispered conversations I wasn't supposed to hear. Sylvia grew up in a small, middle of buttfuck nowhere Bible town called Driftwood, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone else's business, and the church bells regulate daily life more reliably than any clock. Her parents, my great-grandparents, were Old Testament types who saw sin lurking behind every corner and liked their early morning coffee with the smell of brimstone. They raised Sylvia to fear God with such intensity that she'd spend hours kneeling on the hardwood floor, praying for forgiveness if she so much as took an extra biscuit from the cupboard. There's an old sepia photograph of her I remember Mum kept around for a while, small and dark-featured, with a gaunt little face and lank, unkempt hair. She wore a strange, oversized robe that I later learned was the standard uniform given to the members of the New Eden community. If it's not immediately apparent from the creepy-ass name, yes, it's a cult. You might even remember them by the moniker they later adopted. After all the infamy died out, they were pretty notorious in the 1982 when that Venezuelan singer, Salomar Valencia, joined their ranks. You may know them now as the Brides of Christendom, a questionable rebrand, but it worked. You know, the ones they stand outside Targets and Costco's, wearing those robes that look like bohemian bridal gowns, passing out pamphlets and targeting families with any young girls in tow. And that's now, with all the public scrutiny and police investigations. Imagine how bad it was when they were simply known as the New Eden community, a bunch of nutjobs. Sure, but harmless and secular and best left alone. This is the world my grandmother grew up in,